Riverside.
Morning, Riverside.
We are here today with a man, Dave Torti, who has been a sound man since you've been out of school.
Yeah, 1979, I started doing it professionally.
Yeah, and before that, you were a hockey player.
Hockey, baseball.
That's why you had him.
That's why, yes. Well, that's why
I
he
knew
gets
that.
top billing here. Played on Mr. Fonz's team.
Yeah, I played the first year at varsity. The year after they won the New England Championships, I played
That was
varsity.
in 77?
77, yeah. And then before that, I played for the East Providence Blues and traveling A and B All-Stars and House League and junior high school. And
East Providence Blues, was that out of Dudley Richard?
Yep.
Isn't that
Dudley
awesome,
Richard.
please?
Sorry to see that.
Oh, goodness, when I turned into USA, and then I broke my arm skating there, it was almost like the hockey god said,
You
want to go roller skating?
You and a lot of people.
I lived there. I spent 30 hours a week there when I was a kid, and my dad loved it because he said, keeps him out of trouble. You know?
Playing hockey?
Oh, I used to
Yep.
referee the Pee Wee games,
Yep.
and then I chased the girls around on Friday night, and then go to Papagino's.
Yep.
Oh yeah.
Very cool.
Yeah, it was,
And then what got you into the sound, into being the sound
I
guy?
don't know. I graduated in '78, and I was working at B.A. Ballou on Warren Avenue.
Yes.
My mom worked in the human resource department, so I worked in shipping for $5.25 an hour. And I did that for a year, and I said, well, I don't think I want to do this for the rest of my life, but I don't know what I want to do. You know, most kids, you're trying to figure out what you want to be when you grow up, and some people go into dad's business. My dad worked at Electric Boat, and so I thought long and hard, and then I went to Florida with some buddies of mine on a find me trip, you know.
Yeah.
And I came back thinking, well, there's two things. The kid across the streets had a band, Mike Esquino, Joey's older brother, and they used to practice all the time. And I was a kid, I would go over there and bang on the drums and listen to them play. I really love music, you know.
Yeah. Is that the Esquinos?
Yeah, and then Joey used to record the whole things on open reel tape, all the rehearsals and stuff. So I said, you know, I used to love to take things apart, electronics, and put them back together. And my uncle, my godfather, would work for Sears. He was a TV repairman, and he'd get old TVs and fix them, old tape decks or old radios, and he'd fix them and give them to me. And then he'd come over the next week, and there'd be a part on the table. What are you doing? I just fixed that. And so I said, well, where can I combine this love of music, which I played in my car and my house all the time, with, you know, my love of tearing apart electronics and working with electronics. And I said, you know, I think I want to try to become a recording engineer and make records. Yeah. I didn't know how to do that, so I went to talk to...
Were you a musician at all?
No, I don't know if you remember above the Weenie Joint on Taunton Avenue, there was a studio,
yes,
a Portuguese guy, and I wanted to play the drums. So my mother took me there. They had a big drum set in this big mirrored, studio. And then he says to me, well, you can't play the drums yet. You have to play this. And he gave me
the accordion. Oh, of course, because they had all those accordions piled
6 months from green sleeves to that, dragged me out in front of the relatives.
Like, what does that have to do with the drums?
Exactly. So, a few months, I said, okay, I learned that, and I learned the notes, and so now I want to play the drums. He says, oh, no. You have to play this. He gives me a bigger accordion. I said, no. Take that and stick it up your... I'm not doing that. And I quit. So I never really played an instrument, but I always had a good ear for music. So I said, what do I do? So I went to Joey across the street. And I said, Joe, you record your brother's band. His brother had some airplay on radios and stuff. And I said, where can I become a recording engineer? He said, well, you should write to the Audio Engineering Society. And they'll give you a list of schools. So he gave me the address. He had it. And I did. And
back then, couldn't you shoot a text to him?
No. And then the only thing you could get is like I think on the back of a book of matches that was like, learn how to make records. 2 weeks, $8,000. It's just a scam.
Yeah. But
I wanted to.
I drew that turtle. I never got it.
There you go.
You are an artist, so I think it was the turtle that did it.
So they sent me 4 schools. One was in Murfreesboro, Tennessee. One was in Washington, D.C., and I forget the other 2 were. They were more 2-year technical schools. I wanted a 4-year college degree,
Yeah.
So I went to American University in Washington, D.C., and I got a Bachelor of Science degree in audio technology.
Very cool.
And when I got there, I didn't know anybody. I walked down here with like 3 bags and went to my dorm room and went, Oh, I'm here. I don't know
Not like a whole
anybody.
bunch of buddies that go,
No, little,
yeah, let's all go be recording engineers. Yeah, what the hell?
little did I know it was like a heavy math and physics based thing. I mean, I took a year out of high school. I mean, I was okay in high
Yeah.
school. I had Mr. Sarganis, my math teacher, was the high school baseball coach. He said, "Hey, just do this multiple choice, you're all set." And
One of my favorites. One of my favorites.
I sat in the back of the class just sleeping most of the time. So I was kind of screwed, but I guess I learned enough I caught up, and I just worked really hard at it. I was into it the day I got there.
Yeah.
I went by the building that most of my classes were in, and there was some music coming out of the basement. I went down, there was a full-blown recording session going on with a
So you
bunch
get to
of
see it
with a
live.
bunch of roster
Yeah.
girls and guy Rastaman, and there's this cat in there, like this multi-track running in a big Duke console, and I was like, "Hey," he goes, "Who are you?" I said, "Well, I just started here, you know." He goes, "Who are you?" He goes, "My name's Charles." He was a graduate student. "Did you want to help?" "Sure." I don't know anything. Go in there and put those mics.
You knew enough to help, though.
Here, smoke this. Okay.
Yeah.
And then it lasted for a few months, and I got to know Charles, and I went down to the studio one day, and there was nothing there. It was gone. And I went to see my advisor. He was an Italian guy, and I said, "Romeo, what happened to the studio?" And he says, "It was Charles. It was not his equipment. It was somebody else's, and they were lending it to him, and Charles lent him his 12-cylinder Jaguar, and the guy blew the car up and parked it in front of Charles's house, and he came and got his equipment." I said, "Well, what are we going to do? We have a recording project, a recording discipline here. We don't have a studio." "Well, I'm going to go to the chair and get $50,000 from the department to get some more equipment." So he did, and a few weeks later he says, "Okay, we bought some equipment." "Where did you get the equipment?" "We got it from New York, used from Electric Ladyland Studios." So I got the original 8-track, which is going to be expanded to 12-track back in the original Scully tape decks that Hendrick used in his studio.
That's crazy.
And when they had revamped it all in the 70s, they put these on the market for sale. And along with that, a bunch of gear showed up on the truck, and I said to my advisor, "Okay, who's going to put it together?" She has, "You are." I didn't know anything about that, so I had to learn, you know. And I
Sometimes that's the best way.
I did like about
Baptism by
2,000
fire.
hours with my band, and I had a band that I used to mix for, and they were all Iranian guys. This is back during the hostage crisis in the late 70s. And their parents sent them over here because the Shah was going down, and they didn't want their kids to get involved in all of it. And so they were rich people. They were all friends of the Shah. And they sent their kids to all colleges in the United States to keep them away from all of that. So the guitar player was very talented. We did all our own original stuff. The band was called Amsterdam. The bass player was Italian and Iranian. The drummer was German and Iranian. Then we had another drummer, Venezuelan, whose dad was a diplomat from Venezuela. And we started making records and making tapes, and we sent them to New York. And we got some interest. And we did some good opening slots for like bands like Dave Edmunds and I don't know if you remember Marshall Crenshaw back in the days. And we did a lot of college stuff and all the clubs in D.C. So I got pretty good at mixing, live sound and then mixing in the studio too. Took some studio courses and then I just started working all the rock clubs in D.C. I worked at a big rock club called the Wax Museum in 4th and A behind the Capitol. And
So when you say working in a rock club, working like a nightclub type thing, so the bands would come in and you'd mix those bands.
yeah, like
that would play,
the big club that we used to work at 3 or 4 different clubs. At first, just pushing cases.
Yeah.
And they tell you it's $25 to load in, $25 to load out, but you don't get the $50 till you come back for the loadout because people wouldn't come back.
Yeah.
And then what I'd
Get
say,
25, go get drunk.
well, what I would do is I would just stay, and they would say, "Hey, we're not paying you to stay." I said, "I know," but I would stay the whole day because I wanted to see what these guys were doing.
Yeah.
And that's how I learned. I was learning in class, but then I would take it right out and
Right
take
to
into
real
the
world.
clubs, Then I got a job at the Wax Museum nightclub, which was a showcase club. We did national acts during the weekend, local acts on the weekends. So I did most of the first shows from a lot of bands that came over from England because our production manager and the guy who bought the talent was really friendly with somebody in London. I did Boy George's first show in Culture Club in the States. I did bands like Reflex and the Thompson twins, and there was all their first shows that they would start out in D.C. because it was an 1,100-seat club, and it was a nice club.
Well, coming over from England, it's the biggest names they know.
And we did a ton of big acts. I did the Ramones tons of times, and just a lot of really decent acts, you know. And that was my trial by fire. I used to mix monitors, so I'd sit on stage. I had a little 16-channel by 8-monitor mixed desk, and I was like...
So you dealt with the talent as far as what they wanted to do.
Yeah, and like I said, I was new at this. I mean, I usually mixed my band out front of house, so it's stereo, you know, and nobody bothered you. Yeah. Now you got guys screaming and yelling at you.
I need more of him. I don't want that.
And they're not. Sometimes they ain't so nice about it. I thought David Crosby was going to kill me one day. I did a sound check with his guy, and we was going to do an acoustic set and for 45 minutes and an electric set after that. So for the acoustic set, he got out there, got a microphone, a couple of wedges up front, and we got really loud because he needed it loud. And this is that right after he got caught with the pistol under his seat and almost went to jail. And so
he wasn't in a good mood.
No. So we got it really loud. He spent a long time getting this really loud with his guy. He starts the show, and he had this long rectangular pencil mic, and he just jammed it into the F-hole of the guitar. And you know when that happened, and he looked at me like this, and I thought if looks could kill, I was going to die. And then he finally readjusted it, and he played, and okay, it's fine. It was loud. It was good. And he finally finished the set. But like I said, I was a kid.
I was going to say, how old were you at that time?
20.
Yeah, 21. And how old was he? He's already been in the industry for 15, 20 years.
50s and maybe.
Oh, geez, yeah.
40s, 50s, I don't know.
Yeah.
It was when he was really high.
Yeah.
So, I mean, I did a lot of stuff like that.
So, as far as the difference between a recording studio, which it's the day after day and the working on that versus working in a club, what if you just did one versus the other, what did you
I tell you, originally I wanted to be a recording studio guy because you could spin the tape time and time again and really perfect your sound.
Yeah.
Live sound, you got one shot, and that's it. Yep. Crowd goes home, somebody else the next night.
And it was
or you move to another venue. It's a whole different venue, whole different sounding place, and the band plays different that night. So it's a trade-off, obviously. Yeah. So I used to think the recording studio but what happened was, when I graduated from college, I got a job at MTV when it first started.
At where?
MTV.
Oh,
33rd and 10th is a studio called Teletronics. Oh. I used to do all the intros and the outros and all the 1-hour musician video tape stuff, you know, the interviews. So I was graduating, I was getting ready to move to New York, and at the last minute it fell through. There was 5 guys on the IBEW payroll that they lost a big contract and they had to cut back. So those guys were going to do what I was going to do, which would be vacation relief. That's how you started there.
Yeah.
So the steward, I went up and sat in Mark Goodman's dressing room, and the steward says, I can't give you a job without a union card. I can't give you the union card without a job. I don't know what to tell you. Everybody likes you here, Dave. We want you to work here. And so I was just devastated. I mean, I thought that was great. I mean, MTV had just started. You know?
Yeah.
And so I stayed home in Newport Beach and drank myself to death for 3 months and go, well, what am I going to do now? And I decided to move back to D.C., and I lived with my girlfriend. She had 1 more year of school. And I went back to work at the club. And I went back to work at the sound company that I worked at, a little sound company. And during that summer, I went to New York, and I pounded the pavement. I went to 3 or 4 different places, Sterling Sound with this guy, Greg Calby, who was one of the top mastering engineers. And I interviewed with him. He says, what do you want to do this for, Dave? He says, you see those 3 guys out there? Then none of them are going to make it. They work for me for free. He says, "You want to work for free?" No, I got to make a living. I got to pay my student loan. He goes, "It's tough here, man." And then another guy, Regent Studios, this guy Bob Lifton, really nice guy. I'd worked with him a bunch doing some Kennedy Center honor shows, and he just said, "Hey, everybody works here for free." I said, "What?" And then
Hard to compete with that.
Yeah.
My girlfriend's dad was the vice president of ABC Television at the time. He got me an interview with this guy. I'll never forget this. He was a Puerto Rican Jew. His name was Julie Barnett. And I walked in there, and I had a suit and tie on, the whole 9 yards. And I walked past his office, and there was a 100-channel solid-state logic recording desk being commissioned from these guys from England. They had just bought it, just came over on the boat. I went, wow. And I went in his office, and he said, "Well, Dave, how you doing?" So we'd like to,